The dust hung thick in the afternoon air, coating everything in Dry Creek with a fine layer of grit. The town square, if one could call the patch of trampled earth between the general store and the saloon a square, was more crowded than usual. Men in worn leather chaps and sweat-stained hats gathered in clusters, their voices rising and falling like waves of heat off the parched ground. Women in calico dresses stood at the edges, some with children clutching at their skirts, all drawn by the same grim spectacle. At the center of it all stood Sheriff McKenna, his badge catching the harsh sunlight. Beside him, chained like an animal, was a man whose very presence seemed to command both fear and fascination from the crowd, tall and broad-shouldered, with skin bronzed by sun and heritage. He stood with a dignity that no amount of iron could diminish. His dark hair fell past his shoulders, and though his wrists were bound with rusted shackles that had carved raw grooves into his flesh, he held his head high. "Step right up, folks," the sheriff called out, his voice carrying the authority of law and the showmanship of a carnival barker. "Got ourselves a genuine wild one here. Caught him stealing horses from the Matheson Ranch. Judge says he's to be sold to cover the damages." A ripple of murmurs passed through the crowd. "Savage," someone spat. "Beast," another added. The words flew like stones, but the man in chains never flinched. His dark eyes swept over the crowd with a calm that seemed to unsettle them more than any show of rage would have. $50 to start," McKenna announced. "Who'll give me 50 for this strong back? Put him to work in the mines or breaking horses. Lord knows these savages are good with animals." From the back of the crowd, a voice rose clear and sharp as a rifle crack. "Don't hurt him!" Heads turned as one. Through the parting crowd came a woman in a faded brown dress that had seen too many washings. Clara Whitford's auburn hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her green eyes blazed with a fire that made strong men step aside. She was known in Dry Creek as the Widow Whitford, who lived alone on a failing ranch at the edge of town, too proud to remarry and too stubborn to sell. "I'll buy him," she declared, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Sheriff McKenna's mustache twitched with barely concealed amusement. "Now, Mrs. Whitford, this ain't no church charity case. This here's a dangerous— I said I'll buy him." Clara reached into her worn leather purse and pulled out a small cloth bundle. The coins inside clinked softly as she held it up. "Here's $70. Everything I have." The crowd erupted. "Clara, have you lost your mind?" Mrs. Patterson, the banker's wife, gasped. "You can't bring that creature onto your property." "He's a thief!" someone else shouted. "A savage." Clara's jaw set like granite. "Call him savage all you want," she said, her eyes never leaving the chained man's face. "I see a man worth saving." For the first time, something flickered in the prisoner's eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or something deeper that had been buried beneath years of harsh treatment.